In order to prepare for this TED Talk, I was researching some quotes to find inspiration. And I came across this beautiful quote by Sabio Francesca that left me stunned. It was, "The hardest thing to find in life is happiness." Now, money is only hard to find because it gets wasted trying to find happiness. I'll repeat this again as it has an importance in my speech today. The hardest thing to find in life is happiness. Wow. Money is only hard to find because it gets wasted trying to find happiness. I was amazed as I had never really considered the world with this perspective. And so here I am today, ready to present a TED Talk on this sentence that changed my thinking. Let me start with a very basic question. What is your interpretation of happiness? Think about it. For Alice in the book Through the Looking Glass, it was a place full of imagination, the opposite of far world where she could see far and beyond, which she called her looking glass house. Now, according to the 2019 World Happiness Report, negative feelings such as dissatisfaction and grief have started to rise, up by 27% from 2010 to 2018. It states that adults have constantly been feeling burdened and stressed, while adolescents have been suffering through depression and suicidal thoughts. In this world of rising tensions and no immediate escape routes, people are finding it hard to breathe. For most of us, the start of 2020 has been very difficult with this new pandemic, resulting in low levels of serotonin and dopamine, the happiness chemicals which influence our mental health. There is no way we can stop these troubles completely or forever. So the question now raised is, how do we stay happy? You can't change the world, but you can change the outlook. I believe that we need to make our looking glass house too. Looking glass house is a metaphor for a place full of contentment and happiness. So, would you like to have a looking glass house too? It's a place where you see what you want to see, whether it's respect, better relationships, or your passion. Anything that makes you happy. Well, if so, then let me disclose my little secret on how we can make a looking glass house too. I'll be following this approach, 3 different approaches for different learners. Let's start with the first one. I believe that happiness depends on 4 main factors, which I call the need theory, NEED theory. This is my own philosophy. I was watching the sunset and I wrote down the 4 biggest mistakes people made when trying to stay happy. And that is how I created this mnemonic. So we have N, never expect too much. Most of the times, it's those great expectations that let us down. Remember, what you expect is your interpretation, which can be very different from what actually happens. So even if a little is what you achieve, be content with the outcome. Moving on, we have E, embrace your experiences. Your possessions will change from time to time, but it is those experiences you will always remember. We all have been cheated somewhere in life, but remember, the materialistic loss is never important. Instead, the lesson learned will take us forward in life. The second E, empty your negative thoughts. Negativity never helps. Remember that famous example of the half glass. Thinking that it's half empty only gives us a feeling of loss, while realizing that it's half full gives us the confidence of having something. And finally, D, dare to smile, perhaps the hardest. Your ability to do so in any situation proves your good control over mind and emotions. It is a recipe for success. However, it is easier said than done. Some of us may feel satisfied with these mental solutions, but here is something for the ones who wish to not activate this decklist happiness. For this, I will move on to the 4 chemicals in play which control this healthy emotional state of happiness, which were also described by Simon Sinek, the famous author of Find Your Why. I will also tell you how you can actually boost the production of these 4 magical potions. Let's start with number 1, dopamine. This is that massive feeling of accomplishment you get when you achieve your goals or make progress. This is the chemical reward your brain gets when you work hard. For example, I was getting bursts of dopamine when I finished this TED Talk process. This is partly why we say challenge yourself. This is what keeps your flow of happiness going. Then we have Number 2, oxytocin. This is the chemical of love and trust. You get bursts of it when you hug your mother, hang out with your friends, play with your pets, and most importantly, be with the people you trust. The world out there is scary, and that is why oxytocin flows through you when you are with people you feel secure with. This is why we have families and orphanages whose purpose is not only to take care of you, but also be the people you will look up to. And then number 3, serotonin. When you all are clapping and cheering for me presenting on this big stage, thank you. I can feel serotonin in you. This chemical is released due to public recognition, praise, and pride. This is why we have graduation parties. We don't want to waste effort or time. This is because we humans are social animals. We want someone to say, I like your work, or amazing. This is why the system of feedback was created. Our teachers don't want to waste our time or effort. They're actually a big reason why you stay happy at school. And last but not the least, number 4, endorphins. Ever felt that relaxing inkling after your school's cross-country, or when you climb a mountain? Well, that's endorphin. This neurotransmitter is released when we exercise. Whether you play football or climb Mount Everest, you're always motivated by this chemical release. Endorphins are resistant to pain. They keep you going and even help you sleep and reduce stress. Simon Sinai gave these famous examples. Humans don't only hunt when they feel hungry. They hunt in search of this chemical. And if you aren't that sporty like me, even laughing can help a lot. And by coincidence, the first letters of these chemicals when in this sequence spell out dose. D-O-S-E. Independently conveying the message that these chemicals are an important daily dose. The third approach. When I was researching for this TED Talk, I came across this very famous island in Japan called Okinawa. The people there are said to be following the philosophy of Ikigai, and perhaps that is why this island has the highest life expectancy. So I dug deep into this and found out what they were following that we could too to be happy. And I found this. So this is Ikigai, basically meaning the reason for being. It has 4 main factors: profession, passion, mission, and vocation. An example of these can be profession as a teacher. Your mission can be to help students realize that they can achieve anything. Your passion can be biology, and your vocation, what you're destined to do, can be to become a biology professor. You are said to have been achieving your Ikigai when you correlate these 4 main factors. What we currently believe is that our professional lives are different from our personal ones, and if we are unhappy, we blame that on a certain aspect of our life, and then try to improve on that. But the real answer is to correlate these 4 main factors to create a harmonious balance. It can be very simple indeed. When asked about his Ikigai, a local craftsman replied that when he saw his customers happy, he felt happy. It can be that simple. Now I will point out the 3 big mistakes we make when trying to stay happy. There are some do's, and now there are some don'ts. First of all, might seem a bit childish, but it is a big problem: holding grudges. Like Jonathan Lockwood, he said, forgive others not because they deserve forgiveness. They don't. Forgive others because you deserve peace. You do. Holding a grudge doesn't only angers and distracts you, it makes you feel disrespected and unhappy, aka not what we want. Chris Williams, a satisfied family man, lost his pregnant wife, son, and daughter in a car accident caused by a drunk driver. Instead of hating and punishing him, Chris forgave him, realizing that the loss of his family could never be redeemed. So why unnecessarily double up feelings of hatred? Moving on, I'll talk about artificial happiness. Some of us, or not us, some people use drugs and alcohol to release happiness. In 2019, the report said that 35 million people worldwide use drugs to fight depression. My question to you is, what is the point of happiness? Why are most of us trying to achieve this healthy, happy state? Well, the simple answer is, it provides benefits to both our mental and physical health. But remember, the happiness obtained from drugs and alcohol is just as artificial as these chemicals are. Moving on, we use these chemicals to change who we are, for people to see us in a different way. But at the end of the day, the one and only person who cares the most about who you are is you yourself. In addition to this, using these chemicals alters with our body's natural processes. So I urge you to never ever turn towards these measures. Number 3, excess happiness. I don't want you to take this message away from this TED Talk today. Happiness in an overdose can be dangerous. Everything has its limits. This may come as a surprise, but you need to feel sorry, cry, or even panic. This may come as a shock to the system, but sadness can improve your interactions when you reach out for help, your motivation when you help yourself, and finally your memory when you remember what went wrong. But don't be confused here. Although sadness can be positive, long-term sadness, also known as depression, isn't right. To conclude, Sidney J. Harris always said, happiness is a direction that we need to follow, not a place. There are no magic potions for staying happy, unless you consider my 4 dose potions. So you will have to work for it. In fact, start today, start now. Give your friends and family a call and share this message with them. Perhaps they will also be able to find their own looking glass house. But a word of warning, don't just dream of this looking glass house like Alice did. Instead, work for it and then live it. Thank you. Thank you for the serotonin and oxytocin provided to me. Thank you.
Wow, that's really a great speech, Sadhika.
So it seems like we have had a solid idea of finding our true self and developing it into a better version.
But, you know, there are instances where even if we know ourselves really, really well, we just cannot experience, we cannot understand the hang of life and the events that are happening around you.
Yeah, life's tough, there's no doubt about it.
Well, with all these insecurities, how can you still manage to stay in the journey of self-discovery?
Well, I guess it should come down to the most basic facts that most of us take for granted every day. Please welcome our last speaker, Ming Hai, up on the stage so you can tell us more about the answer to that question.
Good morning. Hi, everyone.